Hello and good afternoon, everyone. This is Raj, Account Manager at CloudFuze, and thank you all for taking time to join our webinar today. We are excited to present everyone the one and only way to manage your SaaS applications through CloudFuze. I'm joined by two experts today. They have helped a lot of IT teams to overcome these challenges. Larry, our Senior Enterprise Manager, and Pranavi, our Product Specialist. So, without any further delay, let me have Larry take over it. Larry, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Raj. And I see quite a few participants. So, everybody, hello again. Thank you so much for joining us on our webinar. Now, the main topic for today is how to manage 100 plus applications without losing your mind. Me and Pranavi, we've been working on this for quite some time, and we get a feedback that a lot of the IT teams are facing difficulties managing different applications. My name is Larry Lawrence, and I look after strategic partnerships and enterprise account management at CloudFuze. I'd like to remind you that all the participants have been muted. However, we would love to take the questions you have for us. So I request you to place your questions on the chat area so we can take them one by one. All right. Great. And I hope everybody is able to see the screen. Let's kickstart, everybody, about CloudFuze. I'll take a few minutes to talk about CloudFuze as an organization, a high-level overview. Now, we started back about 14 years ago, back in 2012, right? And we're headquartered out of North Carolina. And our key partners, talking about our partnerships, CloudFuze is Google's Partner of the Year. We've been awarded, and a technology partner with Microsoft. Our vision is to transform enterprises to optimize their cloud, SaaS, and AI environments with our two globally leading advanced solutions, CloudFuze Migrate and CloudFuze Manage. Talking about CloudFuze Migrate, it's built for all small, mid, and large enterprise scale migrations for content, chat, and emails across 40 plus cloud platforms such as Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Box, Dropbox, Ignite, Slack migrations, and much more. Now, it also ensures to complete preservation of context by migrating their versions, permissions, hyperlinks, timestamps, external shares, and much more. Talking about CloudFuze Manage, now this is a single pane of glass providing 360-degree visibility and control over SaaS and AI applications, including tools like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Gemini, Copilot, and much more. It empowers IT teams to govern users, optimize licenses, detect shadow IT and unauthorized AI usage, automate users onboarding, offboarding with a single click of a button, and strengthen security and compliance across the organization. Now, CloudFuze is recognized by Gartner as a preferred vendor in Microsoft 365 governance tools. And this recognition highlights that CloudFuze's manage abilities to reduce overheads, improve efficiency, and ensure secure, compliant Microsoft 365 environment. Now, moving on, I've got a couple of questions. Now, the chat area is open, so I request you to please put in your responses and put in your views. The first question we have for you is, do you really know how many applications your organization is using? Right? This is a big question that we come across with a lot of our organizations. All right, not sure. Okay. And let me ask you the second question in that case. Is your SaaS spend aligned 92? Wow. Right. Greg, thank you so much for that. Okay. Is your SaaS spend aligning with your license usage? That's the second question. If you really know how many applications are being used in the organization, you should be aware about the SaaS spending. Is it aligning with the license usage? Let me tell you, as per the recent trends, the application sprawl trends, most organizations do not know the exact number of applications they're using. With about 42 to 65% of SaaS apps often going unmanaged by IT. While IT departments might believe that they might have, 30 or 40 companies often use closer to 100 plus applications, and larger organization, enterprise organizations facing 1,000 plus. So to answer your question on the trends that we have seen until now, companies now use an average of about 106 SaaS applications. Almost 50% of these softwares and companies are not managed by the IT, right? Roughly about 50% of SaaS licenses go unused for over 90 days or more, resulting in wasted spend. And lastly, studies have shown that by 2027, 75% or most of the employees are projected to use technology outside of IT oversight, right? Have you thought about this? Right, again, these numbers are through researchers. As we go on to the next slide, we see a few analysis done by organizations. So as per the modar intelligence analysis, we see that the global SaaS market size is projected to grow from 435 billion, which is from 2026 this year, to a whopping 976 billion by 2031. As per Gartner survey, only or just about 5% of organizations report achieving maximum value from their Microsoft 365 investment. Surprising, right? So now let's go a little deeper and we go on to the next slide. The next one is again a question for all of us, right? The question is, let's ask ourselves, are all SaaS and AI applications in the organizations being adopted uh, with or without IT approval? Right? Again, the answer is no here because SaaS and AI applications are rapidly being adopted without IT approval. Again, studies have shown that close to 80% of employees are using unapproved AI tools to boost their productivity, right? Without any approvals. So in the next slide, we see that there's a survey done this by Gartner as well. Right? Gartner says that about 302 cybersecurity leaders revealed that 69% of organizations suspect or have evidence that employees are using prohibited public Gen AI. All right. So, whatever numbers we spoke about, I want to see is everybody aligned, or do you have any other views? All righty. Moving on to the next slide. Now, these are all the consequences with all the numbers we spoke, right? The consequences are huge. The biggest is a financial impact. About 53% of SaaS licenses go unused. The second one is security and governance risk. Think about it, guys. 80% of users operate on unapproved applications. This amplifies your risk, right? Again, GDPR comes into the picture. Again, this is related to operational inefficiencies, lack of accountability. This is a huge one, right? So that is where we need to understand what is the next step, what is the remediation. So as we move on to the next slide, we see that the solution is a layer which is missing. We all need to see a platform that can cater and give you complete visibility, optimize your cost, automate all the users, govern the AI, and get you a compliance report. Okay. And what happens is when we go to the next slide, we see that CloudFuze Manage caters to these areas. How? Now, this was built, as mentioned, it was built to cater all the enterprise-based applications, organizations to do a deeper discovery of all the SaaS tools, SaaS and AI applications through intelligent license tracking, optimize your cost, through automated user lifecycle management, making onboarding and offboarding easier with just a single click of a button, and have better control on shadow IT and shadow AI. So enough of talking. I'd like to show you all the tool with a quick demonstration. To help us with the demonstration, we have Pranavi, who's going to be walking us through the demonstration. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, I'd love to take them, everybody. On to you, Pranavi.
Right. Thanks, Larry. Hey, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning. Thanks for joining. Thanks for taking out time to join the CloudFuze Manage webinar. I'm Pranavi. I'm the product manager for CloudFuze Manage. Right. Let me start off by saying this. Most organizations like yours, they believe that you have your SaaS under your control, right? That's not always right. You know what you bought, you know what is being approved and what they're paying for, but you don't really know what's happening underneath, right? So today I'm going to focus on such kind of blind spots. So what you're looking at here is a live real-time discovery view of your SaaS ecosystem. So this is where most of your surprises begin, right? So you could see that you have 78 apps in total, but almost every organization, also us, we underestimate this is how much of applications are being used in the organization, right? But typically we underestimate it by around 40%, according to the industry researchers and analysts. So it's not because your IT failed to manage them, right? But in this modern SaaS adoption, teams don't really wait for your IT approval, right? Teams a smarter way of thinking now. They go ahead, they sign up for free trials, free AI co-pilots. They don't wait for your IT approval. Now, we can see a list of sanctioned applications here, right? So these are the applications you know about. These are the ones sanctioned by your IT team that went through a proper evaluation process and a proper procurement process. But what you don't know about are these unsanctioned applications, also shadow IT applications, right? So now here's the part that matters. So this is not just that these apps exist in your organization. You don't really know what kind of data is going out of them, right? You have more data that is going out than you can think of, that I can assure you, right? So you could see that this application has access to your email, right? If you go down, they have access to your calendar here. So it can access to a lot of files without your knowledge, really, because it's only reviewed upon whenever you're signing up. And once granted during the installation, it just simply stays there, right? Your roles would have changed, your teams would have evolved to a different application, but the access still remains. So that is the most important point to be noted here, right? So these unchecked permissions, they very quietly accumulate across your environments. So it's very important to take control over those, right? So these are just SaaS applications I'm talking about. Now add AI to this layer, right? So you have a lot of AI tools coming up now, right? So everybody in your organization must be using them. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all these browser-based co-pilots too, right? So most of this AI adoption does not go through your procurement process. So we have our own CloudFuze Manage browser extension. So using this, we discover all the shadow IT that is going on beneath the surface and behind the scenes. So along with the applications that are here, you could see that there are a lot of co-pilots too, right? A lot of AI tools. I know the user that is signing up and when he's signing up. If there's a security threat, I could always track back to that time when he has started using the application and also manage that, right? To make sure that it doesn't touch any company data anymore, even after the employee logs out or employee is leaving the organization. So this is how SaaS becomes your largest invisible attack surface, right? So it's not just one massive breach that happens, it just accumulates over time, right? You have dozens of applications connected to one another, you have hundreds of permissions granted, and everything is connected to each other. So there are a lot of pathways that we're not even aware of, right? So this risk is not always the malicious risk based for the security, right? So it's misconfiguration and over permissioning, and accesses that are given are never really evaluated over a point of time, right? So this is the danger that you can see here in the dashboard. So this is what is happening inside your SaaS layer, right? So the data is silently moving between tools. So you need to have an idea of everything that is happening underneath. So you need to have a way to manage that. right? Now let's look at the applications that you know of, right? The approved kind of applications. Let me go into Microsoft. So we're not just looking at applications here, we're managing them basically as a whole, right? For my application, we can see exactly who has access, right? But this goes beyond individual users, right? You can give permissions to groups, and the issue can actually originate at a group level too. So it's essential to know who has access to groups and what kind of permissions he has, right? You could always go ahead and check the members in the group and also the permissions and the accesses he'll have, right? When you move on to the next section, you'll be able to see what kind of license tier that user is in, right? And how much we are paying for that license, if he's effectively using the license or not, right? So I can see the usage activity of the user here, if he's being active, and now I can see there are a lot of inactive users in my license. Now I can go ahead, reclaim those licenses, reassign them to different people, right? I can go ahead and harvest those licenses too. So this is how the access expands quietly if you do not have a way to control it. You never know, the access will move from individual user to a group level, and then it's connected to an application. It becomes very chaotic. So you need to have a way to control that. Let's also look at AI coding tools, right? I just talked about Microsoft, but let's look at AI coding tools now. So this is how the cursor adoption metrics look, right? It's same for all the AI tools. So you know how many users are installed, you know how many users are actively using it, because your organization purchases the license. You never know. The question won't be, is everybody using cursor? Is how effectively they're utilizing the cursor? Is it adding value to us? Those are the questions for the procurement team and the finance teams, right? So you could go ahead, check it on a user to user basis. Now, if the user is having, let's say they're having premium requests and they're targeting agents, right? If they're making such requests, it goes beyond your plans, right? So these kind of tools, they work based on tokens, and they generate an on-demand usage price there. So based on the model they're using, based on the language they're using, we also show you how many lines of code they've actually written using that application, so you know if it's effectively being utilized or not, right? So we show the graph that this is how the usage is across a period of time. Now, based on that, we also show you that this would be the on-demand usage, so you could project your costs better, right? So the visibility into adoption metrics isn't just about stopping your innovation, right? You have to ensure that the innovation doesn't outplace your governance that is in place. So you need to have a way to have synergy across all these things. Now let's also talk about something that also hurts, right? Money. So let's move into spend analytics. So your finance can all see this information, right? They know how much licenses are there and what is the count. And your IT knows how many provision seats are there. But what is usually missing is the usage depth. So you can see that 5 users in HubSpot haven't logged in for 30 days. So this is not the kind of information that is available with them, right? You need to have a way to actually analyze the problem to figure out these kind of solutions, right? So this isn't also a very rare situation. It's very normal. It happens week after week in organizations. So it's important to know the usage pattern of your license too, right? So now we segregate them as active, inactive, and idle users. So you could set those thresholds. Let's say I need everybody. So I do not want users going beyond the 30-day mark for HubSpot, right? So I want everybody to log in once in a while and log in continuously and use it, right? So I can set up those activity thresholds too, so that I can monitor the application better, and actually the license adds value to it, right? So based on these underutilization or unused licenses, we come up with a potential savings number, right? So if you consolidate these licenses, this is how much you're going to be saving. So we actually break it down application by application for you, the active and inactive users, the usage activities of them, right? And the price that you're paying currently, and what is your optimized price for each application. So it's essential to stay on track on these kinds of information. right? So without continuously monitoring these licenses, they just renew year after year, right? So you only know about it when the next renewal is coming and you're performing an internal audit. And then you realize that, okay, I'm just paying for 22 seats, but out of that, only 10 users are inactive. But you need to see that information on a day-to-day basis so that your whole savings become a systematic procedure instead of just accidentally tumbling upon something and then from there you start your savings process, right? You need to have information on this on a day-to-day basis. Now let's talk about where all of this multiplies, right? Let's take offboarding as an example. An employee leaves your organization, right? Your HR updates the system and they disable the email account. But what about all the other applications that he or she has access to, right? So without the proper orchestration, offboarding is incomplete. You need to have every step taken care of. So this is where our trigger for the workflow starts. Your M365, your Google Workspace, or your HR systems, whatever is the initial point for your user onboarding, offboarding journey. So you can base the triggers on that, and the application runs the workflow, and the access will be revoked. Your license is removed from them, right? The OAuth token is invalidated, and the data is reassigned. We transfer the ownership to, right? So it's not just about disabling one account. You have to close the whole loop. You have to close all your SaaS stores. So this is our offboarding workflow. So now let's talk about the opposite problem. A new hire joins, right? So what most organizations do is they just copy permissions from whoever was there previously in that role, right? The new user might not need the same privilege. So it's important not to just copy permissions blindly. It's important to set policies to pre-structure the whole workflow for the whole organization. So similarly, we trigger based on your HR systems or your primary application, right? You could go ahead and, like I said, you could set policies based on your applications, your departments, your roles. So now for each department, I have multiple roles. So I can set the whole policy in one single workflow. So any user onboarding will have a role and location in this workflow, and they'll be assigned to the right kinds of applications, right, that they require access to. So this is our onboarding workflow. So it's not just guesswork. So this is our pre-structured onboarding workflows. We also do have manual and scheduling workflows. So based on your use cases, if you want a one-off scenario wherein user requests access to an application and you approve that access, right? So you have to go and add them to the license. You can go ahead and run the workflows on users, and you can also schedule them if you want a particular workflow to run recurringly and or just at a later point of time. You could do that as well, right? Now, individually listening to all these problems might not feel very urgent, right? It's just a few unused licenses lying around or a few idle users lying around, right? But when they stack together, you will know the impact of the problem. They create a lot of financial leakage. Like Larry mentioned in the slides, the consequences are very heavy, right? So it also creates security exposure, right? And it's very inefficient operational wise too. So I'd like to sign off by saying that the companies that win in the next 5 years is not about who's using the more SaaS applications, right? It's about who has the ability to control them and continuously optimize them, right? So I'd like to stop here with that leaving thoughtful question.
Great, amazing. Thank you so much, Pranavi. Um, I guess we have a question from one of our participants. Can we build custom workflows?
Yes, we could build the custom workflows like I talked about. We can run a manual workflow depending on your use case, right? And right now I've talked about onboarding and offboarding workflows, but the next time you'll probably attend this webinar, you'll be able to see a lot other workflows too. So you could build custom workflows based on your use case.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we have questions flowing in. How does the platform discover shadow AI specifically?
Right. So during the demo, like I talked about, we do have our own CloudFuze Manage browser extension. So if the user goes and signs up to a AI application, right? So the browser would be able, the extension would be able to detect it in the browser and show you that this is the application they've signed up to, this is the user who has signed up, and this is when he has signed up. So you would have a track of all that information for your compliance purposes too.
Alrighty. Thank you so much. Great. I know there are more questions flowing in. I will take them by the end of the session. So everybody, guys, please, give us your questions, put in your questions. Yes, and we will be able to answer them. Alrighty. And coming back to the slide here, why CloudFuze Manage, right? See, we've been catering to many, many customers, starting from the smallest of smallest pop and mom shops to the biggest large enterprises, right? And they have given us their feedback, and we understood these five are the more important ones as of now, right? And it all boils down to these five things. Why CloudFuze Manage? Because of the user experience. Very simple, zero training required. We can get you onboarded instantly, ASAP. Product focus, like I said, instant savings, visibility, control, everything is just a single pane of glass visible there. Time to value, the deployment and ROI within minutes. As soon as you add the apps, it is visible there on how much you're able to, how many licenses are used, how much you're saving, all that. Flexibility, because this is an enterprise grade solution. And lastly, the feedback loop, because see, CloudFuze believes every feedback is important and every feedback rolls up to the management, even to the CEO, right? We take every feedback seriously and we value that and we are very responsive, right? So these are the few things that we say why CloudFuze is better than the other platforms out there. Now, moving on to the next screen, we will see that the way we looked at the demonstration and the questions and how the market is heading towards what is special, what is different in the SaaS environment. That's for the IT teams as such. For a business, what is in for the business, right? The business outcome is that you get visibility and you gain full access on your SaaS and AI apps. Instant savings by reducing 30% of license wastage. Outright eliminate shadow IT and shadow AI risks that are coming up on the environment. And as we saw, this is an enterprise grade security solution. Right now, moving on to the next slide, we see that we, like I mentioned, everybody, we cater to the smallest of smallest to the largest of customers. And here are two of our referenceable customers. Again, I say referenceable because I can't get all the names on the screen here. So one of them, the CIO of Lunio, gave us a testimony that after the demo, he instantly saw the savings there and he went back and researched. And he says, honestly, I felt we are all the other tools that are out there is very complex, right? And he felt CloudFuze Manage did what we showed and they instantly signed up for it. And so is the other tool called as other company called as Vendesta. I'm sure everybody's heard about Vendesta, right? They were actually about to go ahead and renew with an existing tool that they were using, but it had all the bells and whistles and one size fits all kind of a thing, but it was not actually catering to one important criteria, and that's where CloudFuze Manage made a difference. Right now, I think we are done with the slides and the demonstration. The most important thing is I want to cater to all the questions we have. Again, guys, thank you so much. Rahul, Pankaj, Greg, I see a lot of questions coming in. So we want to go ahead and address them. So Pranavi, I think you can go ahead and help me address this. How does the platform fetch the license cost?
Right. So we have integrations with about 160 applications right now. So most of our integrations are REST API based integrations, but we have other kinds of integrations too. So when you connect to the application, we'll be able to show that information to you. So it's through REST APIs.
And the license cost, I think it's beyond the publicly
Yeah.
available information, right?
Yeah, sorry. So once we pull the license, what we do is we use AI to publicly pull that information. So Microsoft tells me that this is how much they're going to be charging for one particular license. That's the price we show on the platform. But we also have an invoice parser, so you need not go ahead and edit it if you don't purchase it at the same price. You could use your invoices, you could upload them, and the system automatically passes the information and stores it. We don't store the actual invoice, so we can pull the information from there. That's the two ways of showing the license costs.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. The next question is, what browsers are we supporting right now?
Right, so we support Chrome and Edge for now. And we are, as we speak, we are working on the other browsers too.
Alrighty. The next question, I think I'll take that. Craig, how is it licensed? I know we spoke about it. I will get in touch with you. The pricing is very simple. It's based on per user per month. But I will call you or we'll get in touch with you after this, and we'll talk more in detail. The next question, Pranabi, does it support AWS, Azure, and GCP platforms?
So if you're talking from the SaaS perspective, it does. But if you want to manage your instances or compute, if you're thinking, if the question was based on that, I would say right now, no. But if it's from a SaaS perspective, if you're hosting applications there, and if you want to manage those applications, that we can do.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, another question we have is, could you confirm whether Manage allows customization of the inactive days threshold? I think we showed them the 30-day threshold, but is it customizable as per
Right.
the internal security policies?
Right. Like I said, you could set your own activity thresholds for each application. So based on those thresholds, we notify you or send you alerts if a user's crossing that threshold and is moved to an idle user status.
All right. Another interesting one, Rahul. Thank you so much for that. How quickly can organizations see ROI after implementation? Rahul, it's going to be instant. As soon as we add the clouds, the license data is pulled out, and we'll be able to instantaneously show you the savings. So the answer is, instant. Do we have any other questions, comments, thoughts?
I think there's another question you missed there, Larry. Are you guys storing any data if someone added your extension in the browser? Right. So we
Oh,
don't store any kind of data. Uh, it's just we pull whatever's there in the browser extension and show it to you. The data is not stored anywhere, even with the applications or your invoices or your license costs, right? We don't store any kind of data. We just pull it from the API, or we just pull it from the browser extension and display it to you.
all righty. Great. Okay, great. I don't see any other questions at this moment. So I think we are right up on time. We've got another 5 minutes, but no problem. Uh, Everybody, again, thank you. If there's no questions, we'd like to wrap this up. I think we have another questions. One more question, Pranavi. Can we define organization-wide policies and apply them across multiple apps?
So yeah, it depends upon policies, I guess. But if you could mention what kind of policies you're talking about, I'd be able to answer it better.
I think this is an unanimous question, but again,
Yeah,
sure who
I
this
mean,
is.
we can, but I'd like to know about the policy better to the right answer.
Yeah. So yes, I think the people who posted the questions, unanimous, especially if you can reach out to us, we'd be more than happy to uh, dive deeper and understand your environment and answer questions that you have for us. All right. Great. This was a great conversation, great insight, Pranavi. Thank you so much for that. And I believe has been a great insight for everybody on the call as well. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody on the call today, and we will be getting in touch with you. Greg, I know we'll be speaking soon. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Uh, Take care. All right. Bye bye.